Hey friend, be advised that this episode contains conversations about violence and physical abuse. This is your trigger warning. Welcome back to another episode of Pivot with Purpose. It's a new year. It's a new day. Is that how the song goes? It's a new day. 2023. I was just telling Carlos and Ariel, who's our guest, we can't leave our children behind. Last year, I was like, can you give me a day or two? Sam woke up. Ayana was doing, I don't know what. Well, she was at work. She left me alone. My teenager said, forget you on Christmas, forget you on New Year's. She left me. But I hope this year brings you guys a lot of health, wealth, not just riches, wealth. And wealth is like, it can be in everything, not just money. If you think about it, money first, you got to change your mindset. But we started this new year with a new podcast launch, of course. And this one, we've been working on it for like 2 months. We went to New York to Full Court Studios, spent 10 long hours in that place on a weekend, just knocking episodes back to back, outfit changes, strategy calls for hours on end for the last 2 months. And finally, not just another sex podcast with Samaya Burton. You guys have seen her on the other show I produced, Know For Sure. You have seen her on 85 South. She's literally been on every show you can think of. 8 at the Table, Horrible Decisions, just everywhere. She has her show, Not Another Sex Podcast, and she's been in the sex space for a long time, education, but now she opens up with so much more. So it's not just sex. She's going to talk about her first experience in sex, being with her dad, and it's just like, what? And she's never talked about it before. So it's very deep, and it's one of those stories where when I started this show, I'm 30, I started just kind of like letting it all, from experiences, from doing the open letter to my mother, who you guys know I don't have a relationship with, from, leaving their relationship to getting engaged, to that engagement ending, to all kinds of crazy things. So you guys know that when I do certain pods, you guys listen to them. And I will always say part of my motto is, you come for the mess, because I'm going to give you a little mess on social media, but you're going to stay for the message once you're done. Well, we're going to get right to it this episode, because I've been trying to get this woman on this podcast, kid you not, for like 13 years. I didn't like the DM's not going through. I'm going to send it again. And then we get an assistant, and I'm like, she's not answering. Let me send another DM. It's been forever, but I knew it would happen at the right time. Yes. And today is the divine time to have you on here.
And today's a good day.
Today's a good day. First of all, you're gorgeous.
Thank you.
She was walking up, and I was like, well, damn. I could have done a little bit more in my face. I should have put some regular clothes on.
Thank you.
You are beautiful.
Thank you.
For like when you see, and it's just like, we see people on camera, right? And since we don't know them, you're like, I was expecting you to be hella tall.
Nope.
I don't know why. But it was just like, I know it's her.
Right.
So she's not catfishing, y'all. So I knew it was her. I never met her before or even spoke to her on the phone. But then it was just like, wow, beautiful.
Thank you very much.
So I wanted to bring her because, first of all, her name is Ariel. Hello. And thank you for being here. Seriously.
Absolutely. I appreciate you.
You could have been anywhere else.
Only at home working. So yes. But this is a lot better.
Okay. I like it. We're going to have fun. We're going to have a good time. First of all, cheers. Let's cheers to being here and making it. Just because, again, it's a new year.
It's a new year.
We're going to do a lot this year. We're going to get to know each other by the end of the episode, but this year is going to be an amazing year.
It is.
And we say that every year, but it's because every year it gets even more amazing than the last year.
It does.
So I found you, don't know when, sometime last year when I came back home.
Okay.
And it was a video. And I think it was a video of your son having to pay taxes or for work.
Yes.
And I thought it was hilarious because I just happened to go through something with my daughter very similar. She was asking, why does she have to pay for Social Security?
Right.
She was just like, but I'm not old.
I'm not old.
Right. And I'm just like, cute. I'm like FICA too, like, So that video had gone viral and I saw the video and I started watching some things. Then there was another video, I don't know what it was. And I sent it to my friend Paola. And she's like, oh my God, I love her. I said, well, how do you know about her? How do you... when people tell you they know something, when you think you're giving them something new, and I'm just like, all right, I thought I was teaching you something. But she's like, I love her. And she goes, she's from Orlando. And I'm like, no, she's not.
Yep.
No, she's not, because cool people like this. No, I'm just kidding. I'm like,
no one is from here. No one is ever from here.
No one is ever here.
Nope.
And if they're from here, they're no longer here.
Right.
They just get up and leave. And I was there at one point in time. So I can't talk I can talk shit because I was talking shit about Orlando and I left when we're in the media space. I think it is. When you're in the influencing media space, it felt like Orlando wasn't it. But then I got back home and desperate, I found the studio.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, this wasn't here before. So to me, it's like finding the studio as a home. Y'all know I'm at Hi Hello Labs here in Orlando. It wasn't a thing. Like, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So I was like a breath of fresh air. Someone that understands what this space is.
Yeah.
And then the radio thing happened, and I'm like, I really want to root myself home, which is Orlando.
Love that. I love that.
I talked shit a long time. But anywho, come to find out, you are from here. Because I saw another video, you said Orange County. I was like,
yeah.
I don't know.
I'm really from here, like in the middle of Orlando. I'm really from here.
Because I don't know. I wanted to prove that Paola was wrong, and she wasn't. So I want to just dive into it. Let's just get right into it. You're from here. You're how old?
I am 31. I will be 32 at the end of the month.
Ooh, baby. I mean, I'm only 3 years older, but I feel like I'm 50. Like, I've been through enough to be 50. Yeah. So I feel like your stories, which we're about to hear, this is all deep. A lot of trigger warning right now. Lots of trigger warning. We're going to talk about domestic violence. We're going to talk about co-parenting. We're going to talk about a lot of dark shit, but you're used to that with me. We go dark and then we go back light. Domestic violence is huge.
It is.
And I think in our culture, sometimes domestic violence is very normal. And we've normalized it in a way. Mm-hmm. I've been in situations where it's verbal and it's physical, but I will say back in the day it was physical on my end.
Yeah.
I would a quick hit and it's like, it's not that serious. We can do that. So I saw it growing up, especially verbal abuse. So it's been normal. So one thing that caught my eye that reminded me of you and I were going to talk was that there was an article. I don't know if you saw it, 2 days after Christmas. And it was a 40-year-old woman. Her name was Sophia in New York City. She filed for divorce from her husband. She was having marriage troubles, and she has a Instagram and a podcast.
Okay.
And she talked about her experience on the podcast and the abuse she was suffering from her husband. Well, her husband, because she did that and spoke publicly about what they were going through, retaliated, and he ran over her with a white Ford Explorer. The 3 kids were in the car. With him. He told them all, buckle up and keep your seatbelts on. All under 12. And he hit her, ran her over so hard that the truck, fell to the side on the driver's side. So he then crawled over one of his sons out the window, went over to the woman and stabbed her twice under her breast.
Wow. Okay.
The miraculous thing here is she didn't die. She didn't die. She suffered neurological injuries, a broken leg, and a punctured liver. The 3 kids saw all of it. And she's now dealing with this. Like, this just happened in Queens 2 days after Christmas. And I saw that and I said, holy shit. And I say holy shit because what she's done on her social media, what I've done on social media and podcasting is talk about not just an abusive relationship, verbally, physically, or spiritually, or financially, but also family. Yeah. And I've been very open about my story. I don't tell anyone else's story, but I tell my truth and what I've been through. And I know that I've been called in a way to speak on my story. And I see that in you.
Yes.
So when we dive into it, what made you start speaking or open up about a domestic violence? So just kind of give me, can we start there?
Yeah.
I guess, because I know there's so much more behind it. We could be here 10 years. So let's start with being in a abusive relationship and leaving that and how it happened.
To be honest, hindsight is a beautiful gift. Mm-hmm. Because once you're out and you look back, I can be like, damn, Ariel, you should have left at this point.
Oh, my God.
Damn, yes. Ariel, that happened 4 times and you could have left then.
And you remember the one time that you're like, that was the time I could have left.
Yep. That was the time I thought about it. Or that's the time I said I was going to do it but didn't. So then the more I kept saying it, my word meant less and less and less.
Yeah. It's easier to stay.
It is easier to stay. It's easier to hide your shame, your pain, the embarrassment.
Right. So you have 5 kids, and at this point you're married with a man for how long?
Before I got hit?
Yeah.
Probably 2 years.
2 years without any physical or domestic violence?
No.
Okay. And that's so important because I feel like people think that
you've been hit from day one.
They show their
No one punches
colors.
you in the face at your first date.
Right.
No one spits in your face at the first date, degrades you, calls you out of your name. None of that happens at first. I don't think either way, whether the woman is abusive or the man is abusive. Right. No one hits at first. I think you always meet everyone with your best face on, with your mask, with your facade.
And some would say, because they've said it to me when it was 2.5 years, they were like, there's no way.
Yep.
There's no way it took that long.
Yep. I had a judge tell me if I had kids with him, then it had to be good at some point. in my face in an open courtroom.
What happened?
When I got married, I already had 2 children.
Okay.
And I come from, and before I say this, I love my parents. I love my family. But I came from a household that what happens in this house stays in this house.
That's the entire culture.
Don't talk your business in the street.
Mm-hmm.
And I already had 2 young kids. And at that point, I was tired of being a baby mama. Everyone I knew was getting married or getting in relationships. So I sometimes maybe felt like I had to stay or I should stay because who would want me if I left? I already have 2 kids that don't have a dad in the house. So how dare I jump out there and try again? My self-esteem was low. My understanding for love was low. And I think at some point I just was happy to have something rather than nothing, even though the something was bad.
And that is so common. What you're saying right now, I know so many people have felt.
Yeah.
Because I've been there.
Yeah.
And someone will look at you and be like, you're so beautiful.
Yep. You're so pretty.
You're so smart.
Yep.
Oh my God, you have it all.
Pretty and smart does not tuck you in at night.
It doesn't. Or cuddle.
Yeah. Or show up to Thanksgiving when everyone else has a guest and
or
your grandmother says again, why are you single, Ariel?
You're like, Grandma. Because I don't want to take up.
Please leave me alone. I'm going to flip this whole Thanksgiving table. Just accept me for, I'm here, you know?
So now you're married, you're 2 years in.
Yeah. The first fight caught me off guard. We had disagreements, gone back and forth about a couple of things. Looking back, I could say now that he had a drinking problem. But maybe I didn't want to step in, or I felt like that wasn't my place, or he's a man, it's after work, he deserves whatever.
That's a good logic for it.
Yeah. And we got in our first, like, louder than normal argument, and he punched the rearview mirror in the car. The glass shattered. 2 of my kids were in the car, but they were sleeping. I was going at him because we were leaving Thanksgiving, and I was like, hey, that was really embarrassing. Like, all my family was there. You're super drunk. I'm picking you up off the floor. This is not a club. My aunts are here. My family is here. Everyone I've been raised with is here. And this is my family, not his.
Right.
So in the car, I was talking to him about it. I'm driving because he's drunk. He punches the rearview mirror, then punches me. I swerve into the ditch on the 408, pull out of the ditch, 2 crying kids in the back car, and I pulled over. And that was the first time I was hit. I went home. I washed my face. I put my kids to sleep. I didn't really talk anymore to him. He didn't say anything else to me. I got up the next morning and my eye was swollen shut and my lip was split. And I went to work.
Like that?
Yeah.
Did anyone say anything?
At work?
Mm-hmm.
I had a bang at the time. And I kind of I've always worked alone. I'm a medical biller and coder, so I have my own office. So as long as I can get in through check-in and get to my door and shut the door, no one really bothers me.
Okay. And what year was this?
TJ was born 2014, so 2012.
Okay. So now almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
11 years ago.
Yeah.
All right. So how long do you... One of the things... Did you guys ever discuss it? Because that's something that I feel like sometimes when those fights happen, you kind of just pretend like it didn't happen.
Yeah, in the moment. And it's not even like you're hiding it from anyone else. He knows he hit me and I'm sitting with the bruise. So we both know it happened.
Right.
But we just look at each other and no one really says anything. And you tuck your kids into bed and you go on the next day. And then he wakes up a little sober than how he went to sleep. And he looks at me and all I hear is, I'm sorry.
But at least he said, I'm sorry.
At least, yeah. At least he said, I'm sorry. And
he didn't mean it.
He didn't mean it. And I'm married. And I loved when people told me, oh, you're so young. Marriage isn't easy. It's a fight. It's a fight. It's a fight. You got to fight for it.
And you're like, there's a fight.
Yeah. So at what point of this is a lie? So it just felt like I was listening to everyone around me. My family was like the Cosby family to this day. Everyone's married. No one has ever gotten a divorce. No one has a child outside of marriage. Everyone has a 3-car garage, works a corporate job, 2 stories, white picket fence. I didn't even hear my parents argue growing up. So the word sheltered is an understatement.
Wow.
So when hard times hit me in my marriage, I instantly thought it was me. How can I fix it? I never saw this before. I wasn't exposed to it. But now looking back, I feel like as parents, we are supposed to give our kids the best.
Yeah. We want to.
But sheltering them to an extent that they've never seen it before, ever heard it, I felt like it was me, and it was my job to fix it.
I came from chaotic. Mine definitely wanted to build a Cosby family. Yeah. The Cosbys at all. But we still find a way to internalize it and say that it's us. And I love that you point out the fact that everyone else is married. Everyone else has, and we don't know what their problems are.
Nope.
Because they don't talk about it.
Nope.
So everybody's so fucking happy. So you're like, well, they must be having their fights inside too, and they keep it inside, and they don't tell us about it, and I'm not supposed to tell either. I mind my business, keep it quiet, and nothing else. So how long does this now last? This relationship? Well, now we know, because once it happens once,
it was often.
I will say it'll happen again 99% of the time.
Yeah.
Unless you actually go and get some help, because something got you there.
Yeah. Or I learned to swallow my anger or when I was upset so it wasn't a fight. Because if we didn't fight, I didn't get hit.
If you didn't talk.
If I didn't talk, I didn't get hit. So keep quiet, Ariel. Stay out of his face.
Right.
Write it in a journal.
Mm-hmm. A lot of fucking journaling.
Yeah.
Because it's my fault.
Yeah.
I've read back some journals, and I'm like, it was literally me saying, why did you have to have an opinion?
Right.
It wasn't that serious for you to even say anything.
You talk too fucking much.
Too much.
Yep.
Yeah. So how long did you stay in the relationship?
Years. And then I went back. Then I had my 5th child. The last hit was probably the worst. And I think I only got out because a neighbor helped me. It was no longer my job to run inside and put concealer on and put my hair a different way so no one can see it. Someone else saw it. Someone else thought it was their business to jump in. Someone else said,
hey. The altercation?
I think they heard it. And then when they came out, they kind of just saw the aftermath. I was knocked unconscious in the front yard of my apartment complex. He hit me in the face with like one of those big gallons of laundry soap.
Okay.
And then punched me, stole the car. And my downstairs neighbor heard it all. So when he came out, and I'm head down in the grass, bleeding. My front door's wide open. I have kids upstairs. He dialed 911, and he stayed there with me.
So at this point, you're not going inside to hide because you can't.
He left. He took the car.
Do you remember what this fight was even about?
Yeah, we were supposed to be amending our relationship, and I got that terrible advice from someone in the Orange County courthouse who told me that marriages are worth fixing, and we have beautiful children. And my self-esteem was already low. And I was ashamed to be a single mom again. I was ashamed to be working 2 jobs. I was ashamed to need nannies and help. And I caved. And he again said, I'm sorry. Not a new car, not a new house, not anything fancy, just I'm sorry.
And that was enough. I feel like when you're that down, that low,
and
that dark, and I'm sorry, just a nice gesture. It's like a breath of fresh air because everything is so dark.
Yeah, or so many times they say, I'm sorry. And if you forgive someone's apology, you're supposed to let it go instantly. Don't keep bringing it up. I said sorry, you said okay, so let it go. Yeah. Don't keep harping on it because then you shouldn't have let me in your house. I said sorry, you said okay. I come back in, so don't bring it up again.
But I'm going to do it again.
Right. But don't bring it up until I hit you again.
Right. At this point, you're married how
long? Year 5.
Year 5, 3 kids in. Now, I'll ask you this question because I know you've probably heard it before. So if all this is happening, why do you keep getting pregnant?
Right. That's an honest question. And putting my business out there on social media hasn't always made it easy. I feel like everyone
I see comments and I'm like, people are but they also aren't in it.
But they aren't in it.
When they ask these questions, and I'm only asking it because I get it.
Right.
So it's like, if you're in this space, why get pregnant? I lost a baby last November, right?
Right.
In the midst of just a very dark space. So it happens. Why do you feel like for you continue to have children? Do you remember the logic you told yourself? Because I feel like we told ourselves shit.
I loved him. I wanted it to work. And for some odd reason, for some of us women, a baby is like a restart. It's a fresh start. It's something to look forward to because what I'm currently in is hell. Right. So it's something pretty and pure and wholesome to look forward to. And I usually didn't get hit when I was pregnant.
So that's 9 months of peace, or at least no hitting.
Yeah. It was one piece of something.
That's really important to point out because you probably never even thought of it consciously, but you're like, hey, I remember last pregnancy.
It was good. I was happy. We were happy.
It felt good. And it's true. Pregnancy can get some people in a bliss.
Yeah.
Until you have that baby and it gets rough. Now there's postpartum and you're breastfeeding and you don't have time for them. You can't have sex and more money and less time for them. And it's just like, oh shit, that changes. What was your last straw? Because you could have went back even after the neighbor called. It's been bad.
I think I finally just had enough. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know what made me happy. I didn't care to live or die I was so numb by the end. It didn't matter which way it went in the moment.
Yeah, I can see it. So, but I feel like for me, when you leave any relationship that you have like a trauma bond with, a month goes by, 3 months go by, and you start feeling better and remembering the good times. Yeah. And you're like, well, maybe.
I'd probably say the only difference in the last time when I didn't go back, I finally got the help I needed. Boom. I got therapy.
Boom.
I got help from Harbour House in the domestic violence in the downtown courthouse.
Wow.
I met other women like me where they went back and went back and went back, and then now Susan, is a made-up name, doesn't come back to therapy anymore because she's dead. Mm. So when I finally started sitting in a room with women who looked like me, sound like me, stories were similar, had kids, and they were fighting for peace, then Ariel, you should fight.
I think that's the importance of community.
Yeah.
And having like-minded people with the same interests or have been through the same thing, because I'm sure you probably experienced it once you share publicly, whether it's social media or with people in your community.
Yeah.
Because I think I'll say social media because that's where I've been. But it's also the same, just as valid, being in your community of friends or your town and expressing what you've been going through and people saying, well, why'd you stay? Yeah. Or who stays for that long? Yep. Or just go back, whatever it is. And you're like, do I question myself? Let me just go back. Or they don't understand. It's like, they don't understand what you went through. Oh, you got hit. All right. He probably just slapped you up a little bit. Or maybe he just yoked you up and you're like, no.
I had one friend that just kept knocking. And I don't mean physically on my door. She kept knocking. She'll show up at my job, at my kids' daycare and wait in the car. She'll show up at my house. She'll show up wherever she thought she could catch me just to ask me if I was okay. Because when I'd get hit, I'd isolate myself. Because I can't show up with my face like this.
Right.
I can't hide this huge bruise on my arm in the middle of the summer. I can't put a jacket on. So I would hide. And she started noticing, everyone talk to Ariel? Anyone seen her for a while? Anyone, anything? And then she just started showing up. Unannounced, uninvited, and she would sit. And she didn't say anything. Sometimes she would just say, you'll tell me when you're ready.
What a saving grace to not have been isolated.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when you add to all of this, being taken away from your community, your friends, your people, your tribe, it's even easier to hide it and it can go on for even longer.
Yeah.
So there are some people that don't have family and friends around that can knock on that door. They can call on a FaceTime call and you could just not answer it. I'm busy. I'm with the baby. You have all these lies.
That would probably be the best thing I would tell anyone. Just because someone gets married, if they're your best friend or your sister or your brother, still check in on them. Mm-hmm. Still make sure someone's okay. A lot of people, especially with daughters, dads think, oh my God, they're married. They're taken care of. Good. Whew.
No.
See you Thanksgiving. See you Christmas. See you on your birthday. Check in those in-between times.
Please.
Yeah, please.
Mine is 17 and I'm so scared.
Yeah, I'm terrified.
Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. She just told me she's talking to a boy right now and I'm like, you sure?
You sure you want to do this?
You don't want to do that. What kind of boy? It's just a boy, Mom. Yeah. Okay, I'm about to go through your phone. All right. Okay, so now you're done. First of all, where is he now?
He is on the other side of Orlando.
Oh, so he's not in jail?
He did jail time, and he is on parole for 5 years, and we have a restraining order.
Okay. Now, question. Because of that, what we just read of Sophia in New York, what allowed you, or what gave you this, why did you publicly speak on it? That's the question. Why did you publicly speak on it?
I feel like I've always had a voice. I just didn't use it. Or I felt like it wasn't important because I didn't have a skill to teach or a craft to demonstrate or an educational thought that I could lead these masses of people. I had a therapist tell me, tell your truth and shame the devil. Stop hiding. If it's your truth and I used to say, oh, I'm good. I don't need therapy anymore. I'm healed. I'm good. I'm better. I'm on the rebound. And she used to tell me all the time, tell your story.
Yeah.
Tell it to one person. And if you cry, you're not over it. If it makes you tremble in the bottom of your stomach when you still talk about it, you're not over it. Come back. I told one person, I busted out in tears and I went back. And my social media started out like everyone else's. It was aesthetically pleasing. It was perfect. I would clean one corner of my house and take that picture and the other half was trashed. But then I kind of started to see that the facade of the perfection of social media was the same thing I was doing in my marriage.
Yeah.
I put the makeup on and I smile and I sit at the table and I tell no one anything.
And like,
look at me from the outside, I'm pretty.
Yeah. There's a mess.
It's a mess.
And in front of the camera, it's so beautiful and bright and you lighten it up with Photoshop.
The funny thing is, in the perfection, it was cold. It was empty. There was no soul. There was no life. There was no laughter.
No personality.
There was nothing.
It was like, it's a pretty girl.
Yeah. But when I started to tell my truth, and I didn't care if there was a dirty clothes hamper in the background. I didn't care if my kids were loud. I didn't care if we were in the middle of this living room and half were eating McDonald's, one had Wendy's and one had a pizza. I was telling my truth and I was me, and I didn't have to prepare for an hour and clean one corner and be someone that I wasn't. I told my truth. I sat down and I did it over and over and over again. And it helped me hold my head up in court.
Now, you went to court. Let me drink to that shit. I see one more fucking courtroom, which I will. Okay. I just told her I'm never gonna be rich. I'm never gonna be rich because nobody lets me keep my money. Court, you did it yourself.
I did.
You did it yourself. One thing that I right now, the thought of even trying to fight a case myself, I think I would just crumble and die.
Yeah.
You know, how did you do it? Because this shit is fucking, it's confusing. I don't know what they're talking about. Every time I get a paperwork from a lawyer, I'm like, is this English?
Yeah.
What do you want me to do? It's like, I felt like I didn't know what I was doing, and I'm sure there is help. But when you're in the middle of all these emotions, you don't want to go searching through confusing shit for help.
Or you don't want to tell your pain to another person.
And the same story, because you're like, okay, go to the next window. Yep. Oh, go to the fourth floor to this door.
Yep.
Go to this floor. Oh, no. It's the next door over. And you just told the story 6 times in the span of like 45 minutes.
Yep. And you still got a boss texting you, asking when you're going to show up. You're still late. And I was just like, I'm over it. I got a legal aid attorney.
How does that work? What does that mean?
Legal aid is downtown, and I got it for filing an injunction for domestic violence. Okay. So it was for women with children from domestic violence that were seeking anything: shelter, divorce, child support. So I went there first. And I was taken there by a lady at Harbour House, which is also in the Orange County Courthouse.
Okay.
Harbour House is a place for domestic violence and women and children if you have nowhere to go. So when my husband left the first time, he took a couple of his belongings and shut the door, but I was a stay-at-home mother. So people are like, oh my God, he left, you're free. Who's going to pay the bills?
Right.
How are they going to eat?
Ugh.
How are the lights going to be cut on? And he knew there were certain things that I figured out, like I like a dishwasher. I'm not born in the 60s. I like a dishwasher. Throw the shit in there
5 kids.
And click start. But since he paid the bills, the water bill's too high, you need to wash these by hand. So he unplugged the dishwasher, but he told me it was broken. So I washed those dishes by hand for years. And when he finally left and I moved the dishwasher, it was just unplugged. And when he unplugged it at the time, since I've never used it, I plugged it back in to finally get some relief for 30 minutes. And the pipe in there was busted. And he knew it was busted. It leaked. He left us in a moldy house, no lights, no water. And then I had to seek help. I went to Harbour House. Wow. got a legal aid attorney. And once I started talking to her and telling her, I guess, everything that was going on.
And this is free. A legal aid attorney is free?
Legal aid attorney is free if you qualify.
Okay.
But it's free if you are sent there from Harbour House.
Okay.
She looked me in my face and she told me, she said, you speak well. And I don't think there's anyone better to fight for her children or her peace than your voice. You let me know what you need. You let me know what you don't understand. You let me know what dockets I can help you with. But I really think you can do this. And so I had her kind of in my back pocket. Some things I didn't understand, some things I sent back. But I was self-represented from the beginning to the end.
Wow. It's possible.
Yeah.
It's very much possible.
And I go to child support court at least every other month.
Still?
Still. I went last month and we go again January 20th.
What? And me too. Shit. Okay, well then let's get right into it because I don't know. I might have to bring you back because fuck. Y'all gonna have to go look at her social media. I might have to launch a podcast for you at some point. Shit.
I actually am really interested, but I don't know how to do it. When I was digging through your life today, digging. I knew what style you liked. I knew what I could wear. I'm like, do I have to be dressy? What kind of girl is she? I'm like looking all over and I'm like, okay, we have similar style. She's down to earth. I can wear this. This is appropriate.
I love it.
Your stuff is amazing. What
Thank
you've done
you.
for so many women that I feel like maybe we didn't have a voice, we didn't know how to use it.
Right. I think
Amazing.
it's more, it was shut off. I believe in our culture and the women is you shut up, you cook, you clean, you wash a pussy and you fuck at night.
Yep.
You know, and the man does what they do. But I never wanted to be that.
Yeah.
I was never that. I was always loud. I always talked a lot. And it wasn't talking to like upset anyone or being a bully because I just like to say my feelings.
That was me.
You know, what's going on here? Like, I remember, I think my mom said that I told we were in Puerto Rico and what you would consider like, my dad moved us, a top drug dealer moved us across the street from the president of Pfizer. That was who our neighbor was.
Okay.
So then he stops the drug business.
Close.
Right. So he stops, you know, it's lawyers and attorneys. And at this time I was being born and he was just, he was a kingpin. You know, then he gets into like a legal business and becomes very profitable in a legal business. But that's who we were. We were the oddballs.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know why I told somebody my dad watches porn. I think I don't know what it was. I would just tell my parents' business.
Yeah.
And my mom would just be like, you don't tell what's going on. Just like that. You don't tell the business from inside the house.
Yep.
When you get a whooping, you don't talk about it. And I come here to the United States and I think I'm in like 4th grade, 5th grade. No, I was middle school, 6th grade. Okay. And he hit me and I was like, well, these white people said.
Yeah.
That if you hit me, I could call. He whooped my ass in the little roundabout of the school. Whooped my ass right then. Go run and tell them. And if they're going to take you, they take you. And I was like, oh, rude. How dare you? But I'm coming back home. Right. And that's what I remember, you know, that's who we were. We keep it quiet. You still, we have a voice. And I think there's some people chosen, and to me it's by God, to tell their stories so people that are home are really, I'm sure you have moved if hundreds of thousands, if not millions of women just through Instagram. And telling your story, like, I left and you're like, with 5 kids? Well, why am I not leaving with 2?
Yeah.
And I'll let you know that when I was home, that shame that you kept talking about.
Yeah.
And I talk about it on here all the time. My goodness, that shame that I felt when I had to come back home and I didn't have to come back home. I chose to come back home. I watch your stuff and I'm like, all right, bitch. She has 5, okay? Yeah. And you have one that's 17 that can help. And she was struggling financially. You're okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you're making it. You're doing great. Your health is good. Why are you complaining if she's not?
Yeah.
If she did it all right, what makes you think you would fail?
Yeah.
So because of that, you have people that are in a journey that will keep going. So that happened you did that for me.
Thank
you. And
you.
I'm sure you've done that for so many others. The same way that I've told my story, because I have been told by the people that have abused me, because I think a lot of times I talk about my stories and my feelings and you guys completely go directly to my ex.
Yeah.
I want you guys to understand, if you're new here, I've talked about dealing with narcissism, abuse, and high conflict people, and it's not just one person.
Yep, it's not.
I have multiple people in my life. So when I speak on this, it's not just this one person. So it's like, oh, I know who you're talking about. Not really. When I want to talk about that nigga, I will.
Yeah.
He knows it. And I've been told by multiple people that have done shit to me, it's like, why do you have to talk about it publicly?
Yep.
Why? You just want attention.
Yep.
She needs attention.
Validation.
she's looking for validation from people she doesn't even know. And I'm sitting here thinking, actually, no. Because by the time that I've been able to talk about this, I've already been through months, hours, and hundreds and thousands of dollars of therapy in order to be able to articulate myself in a way where I can tell my feelings without crying, like you said.
Without crying.
Because were months that I couldn't talk about any of this. There were years where I couldn't talk about my mother without crying. Could not talk about my mother without crying or getting extremely angry. Yeah. And I can just be like, well, I don't know what she got going on.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. If one day God decides for it to happen, it happens. When I talk about my ex, it's funny because I know some of y'all are coming from Reddit. Hello. This Christmas and Thanksgiving, we actually spent it together. Okay. And he was here, and it was something that I never in a million years would have thought would happen.
How was it?
It was actually good. Okay. You know, I'm not sure why it was as good as it was. But I'm not questioning it.
Absolutely.
I'm just like, you know what? It was great. We were able to communicate. He was amazing with the baby. If this worked, then I'm going to stick with this until it works. I'm not talking to that nigga right now. He pissed me off. Yeah. So it's bound to happen, right? But I saw a glimpse of light in what I never thought would happen, right? And sometimes I'm wondering, oh, maybe it's because I left when I left. You know, I didn't allow it to go as far as it did, but I had circumstances to be able to leave. Right. Let's segue into, fuck it, we'll go into it because I want to talk about it. I'm gonna put the link to this story she made or this reel, but you leave your husband and now you're in a really shitty situation. Yep. You have to figure out how to provide for them. Yep. 5 of them. Mm-hmm. Kids be hungry. They got to go to school. You have to have a car to provide for them. You have to go to work. And do you have a college degree?
I just finished when he left, so I didn't even have one paycheck.
So you were now trying to find entry-level positions, right? That would take you, that didn't know you, that had to deal with your schedule, your 5 kids' schedule. When they get sick, no money for nanny. You're just starting from the ground up, basically in the negative. Yep. So you choose. Here we're gonna pivot into her deciding to, yes, I'm doing this on my own, but lifing and saying, I'm going to pull you back. And I really feel like it's the devil testing you. Yeah. Because instead of you going through that, you could have went back. Yeah. And taken a couple more punches. Yeah. And it would have been okay. You would have had time for your kids. Yep. So you get a job and this job tells you start at 8:30. Mm-hmm. And what happens then?
I got a job and it told me that I had to be there at 7. School doesn't even start till 8:30. Maybe if I paid for before school care, but I didn't have the money. Mm-hmm. Paid for after school care, didn't have the money. I had enough money to get them to school and go home. I've stood in all the 4C lines, all the WIC lines, all the assistance lines. There is nothing on the east side of Orlando. You have to go to the west side. And I just felt like my kids had been through enough at that moment. I didn't want to uproot them from what they were at least used to, even if it was just a couple of friends in the neighborhood. Right. We got in a low income based apartment. I had gotten a new job. And I was like, all right, this is heavy. This is a lot. It was to the point like I couldn't even put groceries in my car because it was full of children. Like there was nowhere to put 2 gallons of milk. I would go to school. I would go to the store when Walmart used to be 24 hours.
I can't believe they stopped that.
It's bananas. I'm so angry with them. I used to put my kids to sleep. I'm not gonna lie. I'd put on my camera and I'd run to Walmart across the street. I'd grocery shop, fill up my car, and come home and fill up my house. I couldn't do it with all of them. Nonetheless, 2 of them weren't walking. 2 were in diapers. So now we're walking like a circus. And I felt like every time I was in public, people knew I was struggling. People knew, they could see it. I was a young girl with kids that all looked young, with 1 stroller and 1 purse and going in and out of the aisles. I felt like in public, we looked bad as a unit. Like we looked bad.
I'm laughing now but it's not funny because
white people will just stare and eat you alive and watch you go the whole way down aisle 3 to the end. And I felt like I couldn't catch a break.
It's like I'm just trying to buy some fucking milk.
Even when they weren't with me. I had so much food in my car, they knew. Like, bitch, either you are homeless or you have a lot of people in your house. But I didn't care. At least it was just me. Right. They were home. I went to the grocery store, put up all my groceries, and went to bed. I barely slept then, and I actually barely sleep now. It's something that's never changed. Put my kids to bed. I found someone online on one of those babysitting apps, and there was a carpool option. Oh. there's an option to just carpool, just to pick them up from your home, take them to school, and then pick them up at dismissal in the car rider line and bring them home.
Okay.
I had an after-school program in my neighborhood that I qualified for, and I knew I needed 30 minutes to eat the traffic to get home. But I'm one person.
Right.
There's no way I can do it. So I had to get help. And I robbed Peter to pay Paul. I paid her on a credit card with money that I knew I didn't have.
Right.
I just knew, okay, I'm going to be behind. Fuck my credit. At least I have an apartment already. So they're not going to kick me out. And I'll pay it back when I can or when I get a tax refund. Mm-hmm. That first morning she showed up and we practiced on Sunday before that Monday. We practiced where their schools were, where the daycares were. Okay. I rode with her. My kids rode with her. Got to meet her for one day. First day was Monday. But we did a practice run Sunday.
Y'all not going to believe this shit.
Monday morning, she shows up on time. Beautiful girl. Nothing wrong with her. I kissed all of my kids. I made their backpacks. All their outfits were out. They were dressed. I said, you can stay here. She had my house key. Just lock the door when you leave because I had to be to work at 7. They had to be to school till 8. So she got there when I left so that I didn't have, unsupervised minors in my apartment.
You were doing what a mother can possibly, like the most you could do.
She's there. I told her thank you. I paid her with money I didn't have. I kissed my children. All their lunchboxes, shoes, jackets, anything I can think of was done. I got in the car and I went to work. And I remember it was a good morning. I was proud of myself. I patted myself on the back like, bitch, you did that. I did it.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow, but in this moment, I did what I needed to do. I got to my new job. I signed in. The first thing this man says to me when I walk in is, we have a no cell phone policy. I said, okay.
What kind of, don't say the place, but like what kind of work was it?
This was still medical coding.
Okay.
So it's HIPAA, it's medical stuff. You can't really record in here, and we want people to be focused while they're on the job. I understood it. Did I like it? No, but I understood it.
Okay.
You have a locker, pick whatever one you want. You can pick your own passcode. That passcode will always work for you for that day for 24 hours. Okay. I put everything in there. My jacket, my purse, my cell phone. Left it in there, went to my desk. I'm training with someone. So it's not like I can just get up and you go use the bathroom. Like I'm literally like holding my bladder, waiting for, I don't know, Tiffany to be done with this section so I can be like, hey, can I pee real quick?
Right.
But I didn't really need to pee. I just need to check my phone. But I can't say that if you're talking to me. So I'm waiting for a moment so I can get up. And then she finally needed to use the bathroom. I was like, oh, thank God. I got up. I ran to this little locker. And to be honest, I forgot the passcode. So I went to the office. The lady reset it. I got my stuff. I checked my phone. I had 32 missed calls, and 20 of them were from the Orange County Sheriff's Department. I didn't know what happened. I instantly took my phone, left my purse, my jacket, all my ID, my keys in that locker. I just ran outside because I knew something happened, and it's quiet in here. And I don't need everyone knowing my business.
Right.
And it's this little black girl's first day. So let me not tarnish myself.
Right.
So I run out to the parking lot, ran right past my trainer. I opened my phone. I called the last number back that called me. Right. And it rang and it rang and it rang. And then finally someone answered. And I said, hello, this is Ariel. Someone's been trying to call me. I forgot what his name was, but let's say Ron. Hello, Ariel. This is Ron calling from the Orange County Sheriff's Department. I said, okay, how can I help you? And I guess it's because it's their profession, but they're very cold.
Desensitized.
Very sterile. They handle this shit every day, in and out, 24 hours a day, so there's no emotion.
Jesus.
So he asked me my name again. I told him my name again. He said, okay, hold on. And now I'm waiting on hold. Then he picks up the phone, and he says, how many children do you have? I said, why? Why does that matter? Why are you calling me? How many children do you have? At that time, I had 4. So I said, I have 4. And then I guess there was someone else next to him because what I heard him say after we went to court, I figured out wasn't meant for me to hear. But he said, I only have 3 bodies. And I lost it. What do you mean 3 bodies? 3 bodies of what? Where are they? Who are you? And he's still talking to someone else. And the phone with me on it is over here somewhere. And I just hear him talking. We only have 3 bodies. We only have 3 bodies. So by the time he gets back on the phone, I'm yelling now, hysterical. And he's like, whatever you're doing, stop what you're doing. Get all your stuff. We need you to be at Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital as soon as you can. I didn't tell my job anything.
And he didn't say anything else?
No. Then he hung up.
Is that a lawsuit? I feel like we should sue. Is it past the statute of limitation?
It is. I don't know if there's a statute for trauma, but at this point, I should sue everyone at this point. But I run in, I grab my purse and my jacket, I get in the car, and I'm flying in an old beater car that barely has enough gas in it to get me to work. Nonetheless, now to the completely opposite side of town.
Right, if you're on the east side, you're coming downtown. Oh, you're coming downtown. Okay.
And I get all the way to Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital, but still not knowing why I'm going here.
Right.
So naturally, I begin to blow up this nanny. She's the last person I left with my kids. Phone's not answering. Ringing. No one's answering. My parents live out of state, so there's no need to call them. They can't get here. So I'm flying. Pulled over on the 408, and I literally barfed for like 15 minutes.
I mean, you're thinking the absolute worst. He said bodies.
We only have 3 bodies. Look for another one. We only have 3 bodies. I pulled over. I'm like barfing hysterically. Got back in the car, and I'm just flying there.
My mouth, if you're just listening, my mouth is wide open. Let me close my mouth.
I got to Arnold Palmer Children's Hospital, parked in the free parking garage, went down from level 2 to level 1, ran straight through security. You're supposed to get checked and your bags checked.
Fuck that.
I left all that stuff with him. You can look at it for as long as you need to. I don't know what's going on. Got to the check-in. There's a new girl there. She had no idea what I was talking about. I literally ran from security to check-in through the ambulance emergency department doors, screaming until someone came to help me. They had no idea why I was there.
Right.
Again, that's their job. Everyone's desensitized. And as I get in through the emergency department, all I see is my daughter's lunchbox, my son's backpack, my other son's t-shirt, their shorts on the floor, a hat. But all of these items came from my children that came from my house. I dressed them this morning.
Jesus, Ariel.
There's my son's shirt cut off of him, covered in blood, but everyone's asking me what my name is.
Who the fuck cares?
Where are my kids? Well, who are your kids? I'm giving them first and last names. Now I'm waiting. Now they have to make sure I am who I am because there's HIPAA. And hindsight, I understand, but in the moment, I wanted to set the building on fire. I didn't understand why I was here, where everyone was, why my kids are here. Finally, an OR doctor came out to me. He told me that my daughter, if Andre was in 4th grade, maybe they're all going to elementary school. So I think Andre was in 4th grade. So it puts Haley in 2nd grade and Terrell was in kindergarten.
So they were all going to the same school?
Yes, they were all in elementary school at the time. They told me that my daughter was in glass removal surgery already. They told me that they need to hurry up and sign page 3, which was for a prosthetic eye for my son, which was in a different surgery. And my kindergartner is in the other side in the trauma room of the ER. I'd already ran past him, didn't even see him. He has a concussion. He's in a wheelchair. Again, I'm a single mother, 4 kids.
So where's the 4th baby?
They only have 3 children. No one's answering me on where my youngest child is. And the nanny still is not answering her phone.
Okay, so where's the baby?
My daughter actually is the only one who made it to daycare.
Ah, they had dropped her. Why did I didn't even think of that?
I didn't think of it. And neither did the cops because they were digging and searching and digging. There was 4 car seats in the car.
Right.
And the nanny, when they dropped her off, or the driver, when they dropped her off at daycare and signed her in, she did leave her backpack in the car. So only her physical person was missing. But they had 4 backpacks, 4 car seats, and that's why he kept saying there's only 3 bodies.
My gosh. And the nanny was hurt as well?
The nanny was unconscious. Collarbone was broken. She was in surgery at a different hospital because Arnold Palmer is only for children.
Right. So she's at next door.
So all of her belongings are in an ambulance somewhere. She's in surgery somewhere else. All of my kids' belongings are all over the floor, and they're in 3 separate surgeries.
Okay. I assume you don't go back to work. How the fuck do you even recoup from this?
This is when
And where's the 5th baby? So this is before you left him.
Yes.
Okay.
We were rekindling, if you'd call it that.
All right. So you were separated, but trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was not pregnant. My last child was not a thought at this time.
Okay. And this is for anyone who maybe hasn't dealt with a domestic violence. There are times that you leave for some time, which is why I asked you what made you not come back, because you can be gone for a long time and somehow, some way, you go back.
Yeah.
You know,
it is really a weak point. It's a trigger. It's a safety net. And I wanted my kids to have the family. I had my dad in my house. My kids are asking for him every day.
Yes.
And he's so much fun because I'm only the parent that wakes them up early and takes them to school and makes them do homework and makes them do chores. When they're with dad, just Saturdays, it's fun. We only go to the park. We only go to Wet and Wild. We only do, and I'm like, I was painted as the villain the entire way around. And I had no help, so I probably was short and lippy and strict on a schedule because if not, we're going to drown.
Yeah, because just one day a week is not enough.
No.
One of those things that...
And it was a couple of hours because it was supervised by the police. It was one Saturday, 3 hours. I had enough time to go to Target and go home.
To work. You're working.
Possibly sleep in the car outside because it was in the middle of the day. So I already had to call off work because if he didn't show up or he didn't pay his tab for supervised visits, it was canceled. But I didn't know that until my kids checked in. So sometimes we went there for supervised visits and he wasn't even there. He didn't pay his tab and the tab was $11.
Stop.
He wouldn't show up.
The thing, and one thing that I think of when you're saying all this, of questions that I've been asked is just like, so why did you even have a baby by this person? Oh, you knew who he was from the beginning. No, the fuck, we didn't.
We don't.
Nobody says, oh my goodness, you're a catch. You're not going to be around.
Yeah.
You're going to talk to me nasty. Not that kind of nasty. Like, fuck you, bitch. You dumb bitch. That's not what we see. That's not what we fall in love with. Oh, but you know what he's done before. But he showed for years that it wasn't it, you know? Yeah. Or when you're talking about a family member and you're like, but you knew it. No, but that's still your mom, your brother, your sister, your dad, your uncle, your grandma. You're like, no, but I want to go back to them. No, you want that. You yearn for a partner. You yearn for a mother. You yearn for a father. Yep. And when they do you dirty and they come back and they're nice and there's a glimpse of redemption or things getting better, you want to go back to it.
Or every time you're growing or changing or you go to therapy, everyone tells you there's redemption. Or
give them grace.
We're taught from a young age to fight, cover, and steal from people we love. Your sister sneaks out, you don't tell your mom. Oh, she's in the room, or she'll be back later. Or you cover for people you love. You hide the dirty for things you love. You don't tell what happens in your house for people you love.
You don't. And this is all, I feel like with her story, it feels like you're like, oh my God, this is the extreme. Is the extreme, yes, but not, because she could not be here.
Yeah.
You know? And maybe you're thinking, but mine is just. The second that you say just,
you're minimizing it.
You're minimizing it and it's enough.
Yeah.
When you say just, that's enough for you to walk away.
Right.
When you say just, you're now making an excuse for someone else or for yourself living a life that you don't deserve.
Yeah.
So for me, a lot of times, it's just being called a bitch.
Yep.
It's just him getting loud.
Yep.
It's just her discarding me like she always does.
Yeah.
It's her just not being to me as nice as she is to my brother. You know? So when it's the just, you have to just not go through it.
And sometimes when people question why did I have kids with him, to be honest, my kids are probably the only reason I left. I think if I had no one looking at me to judge me or the shame of hoping, damn it, I hope my son doesn't think this is what a man is.
Right.
I hope my son doesn't think this is what a dad is. This is normal for my kids now. We go in the room and we ignore it and we lie to our grandparents on the weekend when Papa asks, why is the window on Mommy's car broke? I'm teaching my kids to lie. I'm teaching them to be quiet. I'm teaching them all the things that I asked why to as a kid because secrets stay in your house. So every time someone questions why my kids are here, my kids are probably the only reason I am here.
I remember, and I've said this before on the pod, that I was crying, throwing a tantrum. I throw tantrums in therapy.
I do too.
For sure. Like tantrums, snot and everything. Yep. And I'm like, but...
Yep. Yep. Just like that.
I feel like my 2-year-old when I'm in therapy at times, and then we laugh about it because I'll be like, yo, I'm crazy for real. Like,
I'm listening.
I talk to myself and
it's me. Like, it is me. It is me. God, I hear you.
Am I the drama? I'm the drama. I forgot what the fuck I was going to say. It brought me back to just 2 weeks ago when I fucking lost it. And I'll even say why I lost it. Because I told him this in a conversation that we had. Did I? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I journaled it. I don't know. Thank God he doesn't listen. And if you send it to him, fuck you. I remember being upset at the fact that it's been 10 months and I'm still, I still have love for this person.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm still in love. And it's like, I still look at him and I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And I'm start bawling and I start snot crying, angry as to why can't I see him the way everybody else does?
Yep.
Why can't I look at him and be like, that nigga is ugly?
Yep.
You still wearing them same dirty Timbs? Oh, so you still wearing a white tee?
Yep.
Why do I have to look at you and still be attracted to you?
Yeah.
And that made me really angry. And all that, you know, she just said, hey, it takes time.
Yep.
And you're fighting it so hard.
Yep.
That it's why it's that you're now just keeping it along, but with anger.
Yeah.
You know, and it's angry. And if you're in the stage of where I am, I think you're far removed at this point.
Yeah.
I'm not even a year in. And when I talk about it myself, I'm like, oh, it's been so long. But then someone else says 10 months. I'll be like, it's not that long.
Yeah.
It's going to take time.
It is.
And I'm glad that I can be around him and know that you're not for me. And the same way that he's not for me, I'm not for him.
Yeah.
But this is a stage of it where you're still attracted to that person that you were absolutely in love with.
Yeah.
That you had children with, that you want a future with, that you envisioned that white picket fence with the corporate jobs just like everybody else has.
Just like everyone else. Why can't I be
It's like I'm cute.
Else?
I'm smart. I got good pussy.
I can be quiet sometimes.
I got a mouth on me, but it's fine. It's fine. My mouth is fun.
It's with good intention.
Yes. So what is the problem with me? Like all these other people, they're quiet. You get a man and you're boring.
Yep.
You wear the same. Well, I wear the same thing all the time.
Yeah.
Let me get.
I change my clothes just to come here.
I wear robes. That's it. Like it is
all the time. Robe.
We got more.
Sure.
Yes, we're drinking more wine. But we might have to do a part 2 on it.
Yeah, I don't know. It is very hard, and you're not the only one. I'm very far removed, but sometimes when I see him or I hear my son laugh a certain way,
do you feel it?
I feel it.
Fuck. How many years are you out?
3. It doesn't go away. You just learn to manage it. I remember praying to God.
Don't tell me this.
I used to pray to God, like, I'm miserable when I'm awake. Like, I'm miserable. I'm suffering while I'm awake. At least, Lord, when I close my eyes, I don't want to dream about him. Give me some sort of peace. Because when we first split, I lost hella weight. Like, I was
I was so fine.
A crackhead. But I was so proud of myself because I went in the gym. It was sad skinny.
Yes.
Because I noticed once I got like comfortable in my life and comfortable with my job and happy with my kids, I got fat again. And I was
I am round at the moment.
Yeah.
And
New Year's resolutions are to go to the gym, but I lost 70 just because someone left me. And I'm like, wow.
Hurt me again. Okay, let me go back so you can hurt my feelings one more time.
Some people are like, oh, when I get sad, I eat donuts. I don't. I crawl in a hole. And I'm like, just leave me here. I fed my kids.
Right.
But I didn't eat.
You know what's funny? That I've never experienced losing weight off of heartbreak. And I realized that maybe I might have been the heartbreaker because I never really, every time I was sad over like my breakups, I never lost weight. This was the one time where I got skinny and I was like, all right, girl.
Look at me.
I'm
sad as fuck at home, but these jeans look good. These jeans look good.
I was looking at my arms in pictures and my collarbone out. And now, you know, I'm a little big and I like it. I won't lie. Like all these feelings that we're telling you, they're going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's therapy that's teaching me that because if not, I would have been here crying or somewhere else. Like, I don't know. Like, high as
other things you can choose to cope.
Yes.
There's other things you can choose.
It's so easy to go to drugs. Like I just started smoking weed and I told you the guy's last episode or the one before where I was like, do I have a problem? Although I only do it sometimes.
Yeah.
No, I do it daily. It's just a couple puffs a day, but I still do it daily.
Actually.
You've never smoked?
A lot of my prime, I was pregnant when everyone was
just started
trying
2 years ago.
Yeah, I haven't. When I
oh
found
my God,
sister,
I have one in my pocket. We can take
love
one puff.
To try. I've never.
Listen, so
we're gonna be friends after this. We
really
are.
So it's so funny because I keep asking people, I'm like, am I a pothead? And they're like, yeah, and I'm like, yeah. Like I get really excited, like, call me a pothead.
Yep.
I got this.
That's
and
me.
It's so much better to be a drug addict when you're grown.
Yeah.
Because I got money.
Yep.
Ain't nobody telling me I can't smoke
I'm
it.
not sneaking out to do it.
I'm not. I can do it in my living room while nobody's home.
Yep.
Actually, my 17-year-old, when I was braiding my hair, I said, it breathe the other way. Because she's like, Mom, like, you know what? 1 second. Stop the braid. Let me just, because you're pulling my hair, I need to smoke a little bit. So it feels better when you got the money to buy weed. I have a friend, I won't say who she is, but she smuggles the shit from California. I'm like, I got a drug mule.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? I got money for weed.
Yeah.
But no, as I asked her, she was like, you know what? I could have went really hard into drugs, you know, going to a serious point. alcohol.
Yep.
I could have been out here fucking and sucking everybody. And I say this all the time.
Into another relationship.
You know what? And I really think that it would have been better to get into drugs and alcohol than it would have been to jumping into another relationship.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Because jumping into another relationship would have been just this happening all over again.
Probably worse.
Probably.
Yeah.
So much trauma. Fuck, we're gonna have to do a part 2. We're gonna be friends.
We are.
We're gonna be smoking. We're gonna
do
it. And listen, I tell everybody I do 2 puffs.
Okay.
I'm good. 3 puffs, I'm like, it's getting crazy. 4, I'm like, because I got high. Because I got high. Start singing the song. That's how that goes.
Got it.
5, won't remember anything. But I think my tolerance is getting a little bit higher now. And I'm proud of myself. I'm proud because I'm not taking Ativan. I'm not taking Xanax.
How'd you learn to do it, though? Like, when I see people and they're, like, licking and rolling, I don't know how to set it up. Like, how do you...
Who licking and rolling?
My sister and her friends. I'm just like, that's a lot of work
those are real smokers. Okay,
yeah.
So let me bring it to my kind of pothead.
Okay.
So there's these little things called King Palms.
Okay.
And you just stuff it. You get a little grinder, you stuff it, boom, light it.
And that's it?
That's it. But I just started doing that probably 2-3 months ago. I used to do the little bong thing.
Okay.
You literally just put some in there, light it, and it still took me forever to learn how to do that too. And how to do it without coughing up a lung and looking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, why are you smoking?
My sister passed me a blunt and I faked it. And I'm so embarrassed to say that, but I guess I was like, oh guys, this is so much fun. I went inside mortified and I was like, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah, I can't
do it. And how are they hotboxing? It's so hot in here. Crack the window. And her friend was like, you're ruining the vibe. What vibe? There's no air in here.
No.
There's no air.
I'm not there yet.
I have to get out.
I might get there when I'm 45.
I have to get out.
Out.
Yeah.
No. How do you breathe?
My sister's friend left and she was like, Ariel, I know you faked it. I said, I'm so happy you know me because I just had to go.
No, and
I don't know what
crazy
was going
part is
on.
I don't like the smell. I don't like the taste of it. So I buy ones that it feels like you're smoking a flavored hookah.
Okay, I like a hookah.
And here come the real smokers. Wow, you get flavored this?
Ooh.
Like, excuse me?
Leave me alone. I can't do your crack. Leave me alone. Like,
let me be. Like, it still amazes me when someone can smoke an entire blunt in a sitting.
Yep.
But maybe I'll be there one day. Who knows? I don't know. But right now, I like where I'm at. It chills me out. It helps me not overthink. It helps me slow down talking because I'm really fast.
Me too.
So it helps me just like, bitch, slow down. Yeah. Take one thought at a time because I'm usually 5 thoughts ahead.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like they all come out like, brrr.
Yeah.
And it's like, what did you say? Yeah, we're gonna have to do more because there's so much more. Y'all, Ariel is dealing with co-parenting.
Yes.
And if we didn't touch on this in this episode, you don't have one baby father.
I have 3.
She has 3.
Yes.
So there's so much to unpack here.
Yeah.
There's so much to unpack. Like co-parenting, I'm dealing with 2. It's like, how does she do it with 3? You know? Yeah. Time sharing, getting support from them, not being dragged to court once you do something good with your life. Dealing with the court system, like with 3 different people and how you really, really go about it. And there's even another twist. You're 31?
31.
You met your mom when? Your birth mother?
25.
You found out when your mom wasn't your mom?
25.
Right. We'll talk about it some other time. Like, what the fuck?
25.
One day, I feel like I told you I'm going to write a book. I think I'm still at a point where I'm not ready. Yeah. I think I've said as much as I can say right now. Okay. As much as I'm willing to. And it's been a lot. Y'all probably like, so you didn't tell us all? No, actually, there's so much more. And I feel like I have friends that are like, how do you even wake up in the morning? And you wake up when there's people like you online, you know, telling your story. And so many others. But as we say so many others, there's not that many. Yeah. There's not that many. And we should speak up. Yeah. Tell your story, regardless of when the person that has done you dirty will always be like, hey, why are you telling your business? Yeah. You need attention. They're going to devalue you in what you're doing. But know always that if it's coming from a pure heart. Yeah. Because I saw from you and I wouldn't have brought you on, or I wouldn't have felt the feeling I felt in watching your page that you were being a clout chaser, because that's a thing as well. Right. There's people that be out here like, they love to use the word narcissism. Yep. Which to me, you guys know I speak about narcissism and personality disorders and with professionals, of course, because I'm not a professional. But it's not from a place of attacking anyone. Right. It's from a place of informing. And if someone hasn't heard of it, if you haven't seen someone that looks like you. You know, you're a Black woman from Orange County. I'm a Puerto Rican woman from Orange County. And I'm like, I'm right here in Disney World. Yeah. It happens in Disney. Although Disney's kissing me. Yep. But it happens in Disney. You know, if it happens to me, it can happen to you. Yep. It can happen to you with no money. It can happen to you when you're doing well. It can happen to you when you're rich as fuck. It can happen to anybody. Yeah. So the fact that we're speaking on it, I hope that maybe it gives you, if you're listening, a chance to say, you know what, maybe I'll tell my friend that I'm going through this, because maybe your friend's also going through it. Or it makes you want to tell your friend, hey, are you okay? And be like your friend that knocked on the door.
Are you okay? I think that's a powerful thing to ask someone how they are, or to rate their happiness, or what brings you joy. I broke into tears when one of my followers messaged me, what brings you joy? Because I have no idea. Still. I just try to make it through the day.
Oh, we're going to be such good friends. She has no idea, y'all.
Sure, you know, they grow up to be decent humans. And I really feel like that's my job. And no one else is picking up the slack. So if I don't do it, who will? So, and a lot of people are like, oh, go get your nails done. Get a facial. That's not doing anything for me. Like, look at my nails.
I have this. So I got this.
I wipe ass all day.
If this nigga takes one more shit. And if he doesn't go to sleep. I have 2 nails missing. They are grown about a half an inch, grown out. And I got them done for a reason. I think I was going on a date.
Okay.
Are you dating?
I am not.
Have you dated since?
I have not.
No. Do you want to date?
I am a real lover girl. I love people. I love to talk. I think I'm just scared. Because the last time I really trusted myself, it went bad. So it's kind of like...
Oh my God, I can't wait to do this again. Okay, gotta go. We're going to do this because, we're going to do this again. All right, Vivian, I'm done talking. All right, we are done with this. There's no questions this week. But she's coming back. She's really is coming back. We're going to do a part 2.
I made a friend.
Y'all know she might not know how crazy I am. She's stuck with me forever. And she's in Orlando. I don't have to fly to New York to go hang out. Come on, my friends.
Go 3 lights to the left.
My friends here in Orlando better know. We got a new friend. She coming to Friendsgiving, bitch. Okay, so before we leave, this part we're not skipping, and it's our Bible verse. So, you know, all of this comes with grace that God has given us. Right. All of this comes with, I always say, you know, there's a rainbow after the rain. There is. And sometimes when it rains, it pours. But I have stuck through these 10 months to see the light. I've never stuck around long enough to see the light. Yeah. And I think this time around was not only therapy, but first things first, it was my faith that I've always had, but I had to lean towards it. So our Bible verse for today is Romans 12:12. And I'm reading from the ESV version, is rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. And boy, oh boy, I brought this one for us because hope is the only thing that keeps you alive.
It is.
Hoping that things will get better. Hope. Hope. Patient in tribulation. There's nothing more patient of me, which I wasn't born with patience. I am probably the most impatient person you've met in your life. We can have a test. Not that we're proud of it. But be patient in tribulation. I think if anything, patience is, I remember being in the middle of arguments that were really nasty and being quiet. Yeah. Or sitting in a corner and just praying. And then be in constant prayer. During those times, I have prayed more in the last 10 months than I ever have. Yeah. And no, I would say in the last year and a half. When things is like you pray, I leaned onto prayer. I leaned onto my spirituality. I leaned onto what I already knew that I was born into. Yeah. But that they say you got to get to your lowest and God will knock you down to your lowest. And to me, it was like you had to be bruised up. You had to be at this point where you're seeing someone telling you like there was somebody else. Yeah. For you, it might have been that day, face down on that ground. And God's like, I've been knocking on the door and you're not answering.
You won't answer. We probably knew it.
We kept turning on Alexa, turn it up. Yeah. I don't want to hear the knock at the door.
God will humble you to make you surrender. Absolutely. To make you see that you need him. Because when you're down there, when it's that dark, it didn't get any lower than that.
It can't. All you have to do is God, please.
Yeah.
God, please.
I hear you. I say that all the time in the car every morning. I hear you, God. I hear you. You don't have to yell and scream at me anymore. I hear you.
And he'll yell, scream, hit.
He will get your attention.
He's going to get your attention, and he got your attention. And I'm so glad that he got your attention because you're here.
I appreciate you.
I'm glad he got my attention. I'm sure there's going to be times that I'm like, knock me to the side of the head. I'm like, all right, my bad. Didn't mean to do that. Didn't mean to do that. Sorry. I said a prayer today, and this prayer I hope you guys never say because I'll never do it again. It was, God, I started but I didn't finish. I was like, if you save me from this one time, I won't do it again. And it was because I was shitting myself on the way home. And I knew I shouldn't have took this shit tea last night for the second day in a row, and I had goosebumps.
You were literally shitting.
And
save me from this shit like a bad situation. Literal shit.
And I think it was because, the past 2 weekends, I spent 2 weekends with my ex, and I was like, Carla, calm down. Like, you're going back to the good times and not realizing, I think I was like, you're about to shit yourself for the first time at 35 years old.
Got it.
In this brand new truck. I said, God, but I said, I might take the shit tea again. But I said, just get me home. Just get me home. I hear you. And I said, I hear you.
Yep.
Today in the car. And I just let you know I'm still wearing the same clothes. So I did not. Do you smell me? I didn't. It didn't happen.
I don't smell you at all.
At all. I made it to the toilet. So I heard him. So again, Romans 12:12, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, be constant in prayer. Please, please be constant in that prayer. It'll help you even though if you feel silly. I'm a really, really sucky prayer person. I am not that prayer warrior that can say the big words.
That was beautiful. I think you did it well.
I was praying over my son last night because he wasn't feeling well. I don't know what was wrong with him. And as I was praying, I'm like, some pastors have really cool words. It sounds like it flows. But he heard me. He hears you. Yeah. He hears us. And
in your purest form. It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be curse word free. I used to yell at God in the corner. Really? Like, help me. Mm-hmm. I know, like, do you see me? Help me.
It's like, well, they be saying you're really here, but you're not.
Yeah.
And you can question him, and you can. I think one of the first things I want you guys to do is stop questioning why.
Yep.
It's gonna be hard. Hard as hell.
It is hard.
But stop questioning why. It's just like, all right, it is what it is. Once you say it is what it is and you move forward, it is. Because when you keep questioning why, you try to find an answer and an excuse for it, and you go right back.
I understand that. 100%.
Once I stopped saying why, I just said, okay, what now?
Yeah.
What now? And move forward. I'm going to shut up now. Gotta go. See y'all next week. Bye. Goodbye. Wait, fuck. We got to come back. Ariel, where do they find you?
I am on Instagram at _Ariel B. I am crying now because this was good. This was therapeutic. This was.
Oh, I fucking love you. You're
really
amazing.
Appreciate you giving me your time, your space, you guys' time. I really appreciate you. I talk to no one. I just work. So this was very healthy for me.
Well, I love you. And I feel like you're amazing. I think you're beautiful. I think you're kicking ass.
Thank you.
And I smoke, which is why I'm not crying. We're gonna smoke together. Because I cry about everything else if I'm not high.
I feel a lot. I'm just Ariel Stephanie on Facebook, Ariel Stephanie on YouTube, and hopefully I can grow more and continue to tell my story. But I'm just here to be me and unapologetically and loud and honest.
You're so beautiful. I love it.
Thank you.
And if it's my job, if any, to make sure your story goes out even further than this. You got a whole bunch of followers. I ain't got that many. I'm just like down here still. But whatever I will do and can do to aid you getting your story out, because as similar as we could be, it's so different, and every story matters to someone out there. Some are going to resonate with you. Some will resonate with me.
Right.
So I will aid you in any way that I can.
I appreciate you very much.
You're still working a regular job?
I am still working a regular 9 to 5.
We're going to start a side hustle somehow.
I'd love to work on it.
Ow! See you later. Deuces.